Okay, so from that perspective, you you have higher expectations. You have higher standards of what to expect out of a trade or what to expect out of a setup before deploying your capital out there. It says excellent connection. It says live. Don't know if I trust YouTube like that, but we'll take their word for it. Okay. So let's go and figure out what is happening this week, because I know that first Friday of the month, we might have NFP this week, right? Yep. NFP. First Friday of every month, NFP, which means that tomorrow we have, oh my God. Okay. There's, let me get this JPY and Euro news out of here. We got a full deck in terms of US news. I don't know why my Wi-Fi is being slow, but bear with me here. All right, so we got Jolts. That was 30 minutes ago. Damn. So if you guys have been watching the live streams long enough, you know that we've been covering the Jolts jobs report for a while. At the peak of post-COVID, we had about 11.9 million open jobs in the economy. Okay, so I think as a percentage, total nominal amount of unemployed in the US, I'm gonna have to get real specific here just so Gemini can help. Civilian, non-institutional. Give me one number, maybe. The total number of unemployed people in the civilian non-institutional population was 200. And, isn't it thousands or millions? Total nominal amount of labor force, civilian non-institutional. September 2024, the total number of people in the civilian labor force was 168.5 million. So can somebody tell me what 4% of that is? What's 4% of 168? 4% of 168. Jensen said TP2 just hit from the morning buys. Great trade, guys. Great trade. Really hoping we get that retest. But it could just retest this area right here, kind of that TP1 area. Keep playing around, wicking around the TP1, wicking around TP1, and then just keep blowing past TP2. On the sell side, it would be like this. Okay, so that's the 886 right here. Okay. And so that would be the sell side, kind of like a little scalp, but I'm not even entertaining that. Like this. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Let's get back to this. $6.72. Is that what it is, Christine? Okay. So 6.7 million people. That's the unemployed number. And we have about 7.4 million open jobs. Now, obviously, a lot of these open jobs are not going to match with some of those people who need jobs, right? There's a skill disparity. Maybe you have a ton of, let's just say, physical labor jobs as opposed to technically skilled jobs. But when we were at 11 million, that was way too much open jobs. So what we do is when you look at the capacity of a country, its ability to operate at its full potential, the opposite side of that is slack, country slacking. So how much slack the country has is the distance between the people that need jobs, how many open jobs there actually are, which is some of the like deranged politicians' excuse for allowing so much immigration, illegal immigration, is because of that disparity. They believe it's going to have a net positive economic effect. because it's going to sort of like bridge that that scarcity gap. But the difference is that people who need the jobs don't get the jobs, and that ends up kind of hurting overall GDP. Anyways, Joel's jobs openings around, it's still getting lower and lower. So those jobs are either being taken, those jobs are being taken off the table, so they just don't exist anymore. LinkedIn is not listing them anymore because those companies cannot afford those positions anymore. So there's a lot of reasons why this number is dropping. We would want this thing to stay comfortably above the number of people who need a job. You understand? And so if we just said it was 6.8 million people that are unemployed based on 4% of this number, 6.8 million to 7.4 million, we're cutting it a little bit too close here. You want to have that buffer, okay? Advanced GDP. So now we have GDP dropping as well. I don't trust ADP employment numbers for shit. They haven't been accurate since I started trading, and they are actually the least accurate metric that I could possibly imagine. Just look at this. They never not miss. Okay, maybe in May. Oh no, I mean they still missed, but they missed in a positive sense. And then I'm trying to figure out where it was. Yeah, it's then they'll do stuff like this. 154K expected, and damn near half. A little bit, like this is ridiculous. 191K expected, 324. 226K expected, 497. Where the fuck are they getting this data? ADP is a company that at first they kind of primarily do technology services for companies to do payroll. So if you guys work at a government company or a government agency, a government contractor, or a top 200 firm, when you go to log into your payroll and get your stubs, you may have seen ADP, you may have seen Workday, or what's the other one? Mark Benioff's company. Salesforce, right? Salesforce mostly does CRM. ADP mostly does payroll. And so they have all the payroll numbers, but there's a lot of small businesses that use QuickBooks. There's a lot of small businesses that kind of do like contractor payments, which is where a lot of employment comes from in America. Most employment is in America. It's actually created by small business. The government is the biggest employer in America. We're damn near a socialist country. If you look at that's why when I looked up this number, the reason I said civilian, non-institutional. Civilian, non-institutional. So the civilian part takes out military. It takes out all of the armed forces, police, things like that. Non-institutional, institutional meaning government workers. Folks who are directly related to the government. So either a direct government employee, a contractor, a state government employee, or somewhere in between. The country has 330 million people. How do we get down to 168 million workers in the country? That's because those are the people that don't work for the government, that aren't in the military, and are willing and able to work. That damn near half the country is not a member of the private sector workforce, and neither was Kamala. All right, quick Kamala dig in the middle of the economic breakdown. Anyone? No? That was a fact, by the way. She's never held a private sector job in her life, which is crazy because every single person here has. You've had to clock in. You could have lost your job at any moment. You've tried to, ask for the pay raise. You've had people get promoted next to you. You've had to wake up at 6 and go do the thing, right? For how many years? 5, 10, some of you guys longer, 20, 30 years. A private sector job teaches you a lot. Teaches you about how harsh the world is. They start laying people off, you're gone. Getting on, sending in applications and sending in your resumes and not having to use connections to get jobs. It's tough. It's a tough world out here, but it teaches you a lot. McDonald's, bro, she worked there. And I don't even dispute that, but I'm still waiting for proof. I'm not gonna sit here and assume, like, if I don't know, I'm not gonna assume one way or the other. I'm not gonna assume she didn't work there. But I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, though. I mean, look, guys, just do a 30-minute, do a 5-minute Google search later. The more I learn about Kamala, bro, the more I realize that this country is already fucked. Just by even having her running for president is completely ridiculous. She was dating the mayor, I think his name was Willie Brown of California, while that man was married. And it was basically was his mistress going around to all these like big celebrity parties while he was getting bribed by basically everyone. He's in everybody's pocket, and then she's his side piece on camera to all these restaurants and cinemas and open. It's like, bro, how'd the mistress to a married politician work her way up into the DA? And then apparently she's like the top prosecutor in California. They just released a report. She's only ever prosecuted 8 cases. She has her name on only 8 cases. The state prosecutors are supposed to have 100, 150, 200 cases at least. She's talking about she's tried 1,000 cases, bro. 8 is, there's something seriously shoddy there. So yeah, getting handed a bunch of stuff using connections. Willie Brown basically gave her a ton of recommendations to get into the district attorney's office first. Gave her a ton of sort of like cushy jobs that you'd never have to show up for. You get to show up once a month, get paid 140 grand at the time. Like, just think about this. Some of you guys are at work. Imagine your coworker starts banging. I mean, your boss probably a man. Imagine like one of the female coworkers that's kind of your contemporary starts banging your boss, or starts banging the boss's boss. Okay, and everyone knows, and the boss's boss is married, right? So clearly, like, everyone knows, but it's just kind of like letting it happen. And then she gets promoted, never shows up to work ever. Then she gets promoted and gets paid double what everybody there is making, and never shows up to the job that she only has to show up for once a month. How mad would you be? You'd be like, bro, what the fuck? I'd be like, this is clearly some kind of conflict of interest. This is clearly favoritism or something. And so that happened about 3-4 levels up. Now, for the actual district attorney's job, you have to get elected. But the endorsements, the recommendations that came from Willie Brown and his kind of network, that's basically what helped propel her there. Then she became, you know, basically her DA record is so horrendous that we don't even want to open that up. She ran in 2016, I believe, or 2020, I believe, against in the primaries for the Democrats. And Tulsi Gabbard ended her campaign in about 1 minute and 40 seconds. That's on YouTube as well, where she just basically went through all the stuff she did as DA and incarcerating people and kind of leading to this kind of culture of over-incarceration of young Black men in that area, or just young minorities in that area in general, keeping them past their sentences. And then, I don't know, there was a lot of shady stuff there, right? Because a lot of those people were in there for nonviolent offenses. And there was a law to basically reduce sentences for nonviolent offenders, specifically folks who had marijuana convictions. And she blocked that completely, was against it, kept folks past their sentences. And she had smoked weed. Like, it's not like she had this campaign, she was anti-weed, whatever. So all the way through and through. So then she didn't even get 1% of her party's vote, and then gets propelled into the VP spot. Like, usually the VP is somebody who is a very popular person in the party. If you were like the 12th person on stage and got kicked off with a 1.5-minute speech by Tulsi, didn't even get 1% of your party's vote, and then just got handed the VP spot. And then Biden, who had 15 million votes in this primary, this most recent one, who actually was polling, and then RFK, who was polling very high, they kicked both of them out the way and just give the least popular candidate in the Democratic primary history the nomination. Again, getting handed something for absolutely not earning it. And so this entire history from start to finish of somebody who doesn't earn their way through, is not competent enough to really, you know what I'm saying, to really compete for the spot. And so she gets handed it. I don't know, man. That's not the culture we have in America, bro. None of us get handed shit at all. We're traders. We could sit here for 2.5 hours and trade and lose money. We're not guaranteed shit. You guys get what I'm saying? And so I don't know, man. The more I read about this, the more I'm starting to realize it's absolutely ridiculous how this is the best that we can do. On both sides, right? I'm not saying I'm like a fan of Trump's character. I'm a fan of his policies, yes. But I also believe that if this is the best that we got, You know what I'm saying? Like I fuck with Vivek. Vivek has a good head on his shoulders, but everybody keeps calling him obnoxious. You guys know why? Anybody that is thorough enough to explain their point from start to finish and not have to cut up their words into, to dumb themselves down, but literally just say exactly what it is, plain and simple. People say it's obnoxious. But on the flip side, when Trump does not expand on any of his thoughts, doesn't provide context, they say he's dumb. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like the country kind of needs a middle spot between those. And I think that's JD Vance, even though he kind of creeps me out. I don't know. Anyways, so GDP, 3%, advanced GDP. GDP is released in multiple segments, usually like 30, 60, 90 days after the quarter ends. And so this is going to be second quarter numbers. Okay, we have preliminary, advanced, and then final. So this is the second of them. And each one gets revised as more data comes in from different companies, as more earnings reports come out, as more labor reports come out. They revise the number so that we can look back and say, here's what it was in in Q2 of this year for real. Not like kind of we got lost in the fog of war. Here's what we thought it was 30 days ago. Now that the dust is settled, here's the new number we have. Okay. 3%. So what we had in July during the last print was 2.8%. And it looks like they're expecting a revision up, meaning it was better than what they thought it was. Okay. We'll see about that. I know they were talking that we're in a recession for a while here, and I'm still waiting to see this recession because the numbers are just not supporting that. Make sure I set my alerts here. Okay. So yeah, if you have a GDP that's consistently growing, we're not in a recession. Okay, and we have PCE. This is the preferred metric for the Federal Reserve's inflation sort of measure. Okay, this is what they use instead of CPI, slightly more accurate and closer to what consumers are actually spending. Still expecting a month-over-month increase, 0.3. Unemployment claims, yes, this is just going to be the monthly number. But yeah, they're still expecting this thing to be growing. That does not mean that the PCE is at 0.3. Okay, this is how much it's growing month over month. So how much did it increase from last month? 0.3. These things add up. 0.3s add up. Okay. Employment cost index. This is a pretty big measure. I'm not going to bore you guys with this one, but inflation only hurts in the economy if wages don't grow at the same pace. So groceries are more expensive. You got to pay $100 more in groceries every time you go. That's horrible, right? $20 at the gas station, $100 at the grocery store every time you go adds up. But if you're making an extra $500 a month, doesn't seem that bad. And so employment cost index, how much does it cost employers to hire? And that's going to be very important, but it's more of a technical data point that plays into the overall employment picture, as opposed to like a standalone data point. Average hourly earnings, and then we have NFP, 4.1%. So this is actually something that we talked about a lot from last year into this year. The Fed was waiting for something to happen before they stopped raising rates. So the whole point was we're going to keep slowing down the economy until something breaks. This was kind of like the genius plan from Jerome Powell 2022, when inflation was at 9.1%. So when I talked to Bob Elliott in that long form conversation that we had probably 2 months ago, he's telling me there's no number that when we hit that unemployment number, we go into a recession. But I started to kind of pick his brain. I said, what about the 4.0s? Once we break 4.0, 4.1, 4.2, aren't we really at that point kind of headed in that recession territory? And he was like, technically, yes, but the Fed is expecting a little bit of a crack. So 4.2, 4.3 is still part of their plan. So as of right now, I actually don't think this is going to cause any major Fed action in the Fed meeting next week on the 6th. Excuse me. Is it next week? It's either next week or 1 week after the next Fed meeting. If this thing comes out at 4.3, 4.4, it's not the number that's going to cause the Fed to panic. It's going to be the difference between the expectation and the actual outcome. You get me? And so I think it's really important to take note that the employment rate, I think, is the number one focus for all economists. So inflation was the talk for the last 3 years. Now that we've kind of beat the inflation boogeyman, we're kind of looking at this employment boogeyman here, and the Fed is going to start shifting their focus from price stability to maximum employment. Okay, they have two jobs: price stability, making sure that the dollar is stable, and making sure that there's the inflation rate is stable and consistent, so that people aren't constantly, having to adjust their economic decisions. The second side of that is making sure that there's maximum employment. And so it's like slowing down the economy so prices don't get too high, and then pumping it up and pumping money in the economy, speeding it up so that more people have jobs and there's more spending and there's more economic activity. And they're trying to balance this act instead of getting the fuck out the way. But hey, you guys don't want to hear about my personal opinion about disbanding the Fed. You guys want to hear about consumer price index. All right. Jami says, yo, Roy, welcome back, bro. Nobody live be interesting. Yes, because they suck. But I don't even talk about my life, and this is still entertaining as fuck. If I told you guys one story from last week or one story from today, this will be the most entertaining live stream on earth. We do crazy shit. You guys can ask the team. We literally do crazy shit. I probably turn around like 100 times a month, 100 different instances, and I just look at people. I just look at my team. I'm like, bro, how did we end up here? How did we get in this room? How are we on this? How are we in this meeting right now? It's just absolutely surreal, that what we're doing here, and I don't know. It's incredible. I'll tell you guys a few stories, but first, well, actually, I'll tell you guys stories about the FX Summit and things that relate to the FX Summit. But we're really gearing up here. Top 5 crypto exchanges panel coming in. The top 5 prop traders, the top 5 prop firm traders in the world are coming. We got hedge fund folks. We got folks who run family offices. We have folks who are private investors that connect between hedge funds, family offices, and the rest. We got folks that used to work at high-frequency trading firms, people who have 40 years experience on the New York Stock Exchange. We have Bob Elliott, former head of Ray Dalio's personal investment team, the #1 hedge fund in the world. Top macro economists. We have the women's leader in finance panel. These ladies are going to blow your mind, people. Like I didn't know how vast the trading world was, because we spent way too much time on social media. I think there was a blessing in disguise losing our Instagram. Whoever decided to hack our Instagram and thought that was going to ruin our brand and ruin our life and all this stuff. Rev, you guys live on Instagram, not you, people listening to this, but I'm talking about the folks who tried to hack us and kind of betting on our downfall. Y'all live on Instagram. Your entire thing just revolves around you putting out a perception, and then basically that's your entire thing from start to finish. Losing our IG was probably the best thing that's ever happened to us, because we're connecting with people all over the world that are running events for like hedge fund events with 5,000, 6,000 investors coming, with people who do technology that are sort of connecting a lot of these technological dots for people and helping to create new consumer products. The people out here are going to blow your mind at the summit and what's being built for traders. This era of having to stick to 5 or 6 providers because social media influencers are using those platforms, that shit is done. Now, at the end of the day, there's a difference between a social media influencer and someone who's just a trader and who has social media influence. So I'm not telling you guys to use the platforms I'm using. When I was recommending FTMO, it's not because I had an affiliate deal with them. I recommended them for years. When I was pulling money out of Hugo's way and they were paying me out and the deposits were hitting, I saw no issue with that platform. I would tell people which platform I used. I did not have an affiliate deal with them. Okay, so if you see somebody trading and it's working for them and the payout process is efficient, it's reliable, they're not, creating excuses for payout delays and things like that, then yeah, sure, you can look at what somebody's using and use that. But there's a lot of people going around that just basically build an audience to promote a certain platform. And that entire game has sort of just this is worse than IML. The reason that people didn't like IML is because instead of trading and promoting trading, they're promoting this affiliate thing that they were selling to traders. And that's what I feel like a lot of these platforms and stuff are doing. It's like instead of focusing on the trading, everybody's focusing on promoting the platform to other traders. All right. And I'll tell you guys right now, you're never going to end up on an FX Summit stage. You're never going to get these connections. You're never going to get a $10 million credit line from an investor focusing on the affiliate stuff. It can help you, whatever you guys decide to do with your life, by the way, because get your money. The world is fucked up. The money game is fucked up. Don't do anything immoral, illegal, or dangerous, but make your money. But trading should be your number one focus. All right. 10% returns on large capital will change your family's life forever. You get $1 million credit line, you do 10%, you're sitting pretty good. Some of you guys are going to take this very serious over the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Imagine you get a $10 million credit line. What's 10% of that? It's $1 million. $1 million liquid is more than most people will see in their entire life working a 50 to 80K job ever. You're never going to save your way to $1 million. You might have between your home and your retirement account over $1 million in net worth, which is incredible. But trading is the only thing that's going to give you that kind of money, liquid. And liquid cash invested in the right way can take care of your family for life. Cool? Make sense? Come to the summit. Come here from the best and get your ass off the couch. All right? You got work to do. Like, Roy, but it's expensive and it's this and it's that. It's also expensive to stay uninformed in a world that's changing faster than what any of us can keep up with. That's why the focus is on being high level, always. Have a full picture, crypto traders, investors, the rest, but go high level. Let's not get lost in the minutiae. Let's not get lost in the sauce, as they say. Cool. Very big trading week here. Very big news week. Let's kind of talk about global macro. I'm just waiting for this trade to set up. There's a potential retest here that I'm watching for. I might scalp this short. Not might. Probably will scalp this short. It's going to potentially reject, break up for the double top. I'm going to sell at the double top or potentially layer a few trades. I'll put one contract here, 2 contracts, maybe 3 here. Put my wrist in the pot. And then wait for this retest back inside the range and then exit the trades. And then the market may continue from here or not. Okay, if it comes all the way back down to my entry, perfect. Take another trade. I'll risk a percentage of my profits to make sure I walk away with profits, but I'll risk a percentage down here and do it again. I literally started paying on the trip last November. I was not going to miss Dubai. It was only $3,000 for the entire trip. My ticket was half the trip. Bro, Christine, I'm telling you, that is how it's done. I'm so proud of you, and you committed to it. And that's why I know that you're going to get the most out of this event. Like, I can't wait for y'all to hear Ali's story. Like, Ali won the trading challenge the first year. We were at the VIP event for the summit at Fogo de Chao in South Beach, and he had a convo with Q. And like that convo changed his life. He was like, Roy, I'm going to end up on stage one day. Came and shook my hand. Next year, he hit a 60K month. And he was like, bro, I want to be on the summit stage. I was like, bro, like, I love you, Ali. You're doing it right. But even 60K a month is still not enough to jump straight onto the stage. You need some time under your belt, etc. because there's a lot of qualified people we were trying to have up there. And then this year alone, he had a 180K month, and then he had another kind of six-figure month, and he's just been absolutely crushing it. And he's going to be a testament. Oh, he also talked to Bob Elliott at the last conference on the yacht party, and Bob Elliott recommended him a book about macro, and that changed his game. And this year he started crushing it with those six-figure numbers. So it's stories like that of people who take it serious and actually go and talk to these guys that we brought out and talk to these incredible and influential people that have tons of years of experience. They get the most out of it. They change their lives and they do something astronomical. So proud of you. See you there. That's going to be you. You're next. All of you guys are next if you choose to be. Because we had like 1,400 people at the first summit. I'd say about 1,000 people came up to me, shook my hand, said they're going to be on stage one day. Got back home, half of them went back to the same habits. The other half started some new habits. A month later, half of those people completely out, gave up on those new habits. The other half kept going. And year over year, we're seeing incredible stories and incredible changes in people's lives. So commit, people, and don't give up. Like, this shit takes time. The best pizza shops on your street are not around because all the other pizza shops that closed weren't as good. The pizza shops that closed were probably better. The reality is only one of them didn't give up. Only one of them stuck around. If you outlast your competition, and in trading, your competition is your doubts, your fears, your bad habits. If you outlast your competition, you will succeed. Your competition is all the dumb shit you're doing that's stopping you from making money trading. Stick around long enough to mature out of those habits, and trading becomes a very viable future for you. All right. All right. Well, I'm not going to turn this into a motivational call, but is FX Summit 2025 in Mexico, Colombia? It's going to be in Colombia. We're expecting over 15,000 people in Colombia. So very important. Did I take any trades yesterday? No. Gabby, good to see you on here. Haven't really been trading. I have been keeping up with markets. I'm pretty sure I sent over some markups. Yo, let's go around the world real quick. Hold on. Hold up. I was out here yapping. I forgot to come back here and remind you all. Right? I forgot to get on here and tell all of you guys the word. You guys know what the word is? Let's talk about a magnet real quick. Let's talk about this magnet. We're going to go around the world because y'all thought I forgot to remind you guys that every single trade that we've called on the live stream for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 months are all coming to fruition. The dollar bears, I haven't heard from the dollar. Somebody make a welfare check to the dollar bears. I haven't heard from them in a month. I went on Twitter. I tried to look for them. I said, wow, gosh, I hope they're okay. First magnet zone gets hit. I'm actually adjusting this first magnet zone because it's the second time this has happened. And I think it's very clear now that 104.5 is a much clearer magnet zone. We're going to be completely honest. Super secret magnet indicator hit, but don't get hit. This took a long freaking time, people. While the market was making its way down, we were noting how it was respecting these zones on the way down. And this is August. So all of August, all of September, the market was playing here. And then we had a duck, duck, goose situation towards the end of September. And then all of October, beautiful, swift recovery, which means subsequently, magnets don't lie, Euro USD, sell trade, absolute crusher. Headed down to our buy zone very soon. I'm going to wait for the market to violate this area, retest, play around here for a few days, and then look to take a swing trade back up. Don't ask me how I'm going to swing trade this on a futures account. You can use your creativity. I'm not going to, put myself out there in that situation, but context clues. Okay. USD JPY. because if I stand corrected, the fibs never lie. Perfect, perfect entry at that super secret fib level. TP1 got hit, TP2 just got hit, and we're very likely to hit TP3, okay, which is 161.9. The target for UJ right now is 161.9. Matter of fact, there's too many numbers. 162, to keep it simple for all of you. 162, people. Feels like a Muhammad Ali press conference. If I do one more rhyme, I'm going to end this stream. All right. I'm not fucking Dr. Seuss. That was just 3 in a row, rock solid. I really felt like I was at a Muhammad Ali fucking press conference. Okay. So that's going to be on the way. Once we hit that 162 target, we're going to have a massive retracement all the way back down. Short-term trading, I'm not even short-term trading the currencies by this at this point. I do see the continuation all the way to the upside, but I would need a retracement before I start buying in this range. All the buys were down here. This is the buying range. This is the selling range, and we're right in the middle at neutrality. It's a no-go. All right. EJ, same thing, same exact thing as USD JPY. No surprises there. Let's see what we got here. We have gold. I'm gonna have about 100,000 million people asking me about my gold analysis on the stream. So pay attention. I'm gonna say this once. All right. So we got a pretty nice area of structure right here. Use this instead. Nice area of resistance. So we had hit a high right here, hit a little bit of a resistance, and then now we're breaking through. And so, Chart Addicts members, are most retail traders buying or selling right here? What are the majority of traders doing right here above the range? Buying or selling? You guys can answer this on YouTube as well. Is that Discord free or for members only? It's for members only. Members only, members only, members only. You've been making money from the summit. I've been losing money on the summit for about 2 years now to basically help this industry grow out of this fucking, this cesspool that we've been in for the last 3 to 4 years. But I appreciate your uninformed opinion. I'm very sure that your Party 42 Knight is doing much more for the trading community, and you're definitely putting your money where your mouth is, more than I am. Okay. Selling. No, Mohammed. Nope. Most traders are buying above the range. They're buying and they're chasing. Party 42 Knight, don't comment, bro. Nobody wants to hear what the fuck you got to say. Can't be in here being disrespectful and then just be like, oh, let me answer the questions and participate in class. Bro, have you guys been seeing those videos on social media? I don't know how they end up on my feed. I'll be looking up like, news on Twitter, and the next reel is like a bodega fight or some shit. I'm like, why the fuck am I getting recommended this? All right, we're getting a huge drop off. So I guess we will. Let's figure out what the topic is that you guys want to listen to. It says, why is he pocket watching? I mean, that's understandable. I'm putting my money on the line live in front of humans on YouTube. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, why are people watching my pockets while I'm putting my pockets out there for people to watch? But it's just not true. You don't go into the events business to make money, people. All right. If you just even did 2 minutes of research on how expensive it is to put together a conference and what you have to do to get this many people who don't like each other and who don't agree with each other to get on the same stages, and what you have to do to get very influential, important names to fly 20 hours across the world to give out value to fucking traders, you very quickly realize that the last thing that we're doing here is making money. Selling courses would have made a lot more money. No, that don't cost a dime. Sit in my house, no team, Just basically rent a Lambo for $2,000 a month, post pictures of me and my Lambo getting smoothies, sell 50K, 80K of courses a month. Wow, how much simpler life would be. But no, if you get into the events business, be ready to put up your trading money to put into shit that you have to pay for. So you'll get it. Said, relax, Roy. It was a question. Make me. That's what I gotta say to all of you guys. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Nada. So I will complain. I will spaz on these streams, and you are welcome to turn it off because you also, as a sentient human, have that free will to decide to get off. But the reason you're still here is because you are enamored by how entertaining this is, even if it's at your own expense. You want to know how I know that? Because I make self-deprecating jokes all the time. I know exactly how entertaining I can be at my own expense. It's fucking hilarious. So enjoy the show. Yeah, so most people are buying up here. I'm not going to go through that full explanation because, members already know. And we already know what we're waiting for. And so, yeah. So if I do have to hop off the stream, just remember no retest, no entry. And so if the market comes back down to our entry zone, I'm going to take a trade right here where all these wicks are. Okay. And then it will probably wick up and I will be securing partial profits. Why? Because then if the market continues to break through, then whatever I lose on that, whatever I have left holding here, if it's not protected, whatever I lose, I've made up for with that first win. All right. Oh, I'm 10 minutes late to a team meeting, so I do have to go here in a bit. So it's going to come down, wick up, make your money, and then do not get back in if it comes back. It's going to wick. If it comes back for one more entry, whatever you had on the table, you have on the table. Do not enter more because there's a very good shot that, okay, if you're going to go for the Model 2 or Model 3, the market is going to break above the previous resistance, going to break above it, come back, retest, and then continue down to a deeper level before it continues. Okay, so, technically that could still happen. But before that happens, it'll usually come back down to this area of buying, reject one more time to get everybody stacking trades into the buys, and then sweep. So we're going to make money on that little jump right there and just be out. It's that simple. Ain't that crazy? Keep it simple. Complexity fails, simplicity scales. Got to put your ego to the side. No, I think having a healthy amount of ego is very important because otherwise you don't respect yourself. You understand? If you don't have an ego, you're not going to think that you can make trading work. Yes, 98% of people are losing because apparently human nature cannot be conquered. Apparently people can't conquer human nature. My ego says, watch me. I will conquer my worst nature and I will bring out my better nature willingly. And if most people are refusing to do the personal work to do that, that's on them. So you control your outcomes, people. You control your outcomes. But you do need a healthy amount of ego. All right. In a game that's harder to succeed at than almost any other profession, the attrition rate in trading should turn everybody away, any rational person away. So you can't be delusional. You'd be like, I'm the one, I'm gonna make it work. That's delusion. Right? But a little healthy bit of ego and optimism. Optimism isn't clicking your heels and it's like, oh, it's all gonna work out. It's like, no, I'm gonna keep doing whatever it takes until it works out because I will be the exception. That takes a considerable amount of ego. But then reminding yourself that you are not the market. You don't run shit here. We're all slaves to volatility. That's the humility you got to have. So we have to be pragmatic. Clearly, we don't run shit here. Right? I'm just an employee. I just work here. That's the humility. That's the pragmatic approach. The ego says, I will be the one to beat the odds, no matter what it takes. Thanks, Roy, for disappearing. Best thing to happen to my trading. Made me accountable, and now I'm profitable, and I mean it in a good way. Thank you. I was using you as a crutch. Bro, that makes me so fucking happy. You have no idea. Basically, everything that I've been working for, put into one statement, right? Because I always told you guys, be a student, not a follower. Because if I decide to fuck off one day, have a fat enough trade, go build a house on the side of Peru with Starlink internet, and never see anybody again, what are you gonna? You cannot put your family's future in my hands. And so my goal was to always make these streams valuable enough that you'd want to come back, entertaining enough that you'd want to come back. But I always wanted you to be self-sufficient. That's why we do the way that we do education, people. It's not a business decision. The way that we've been running Chart Addicts, it's the stupidest business model of all time. And you guys know I'm not that fucking stupid. You understand? So if you give somebody the ability to trade for themselves and you make somebody self-sufficient, I can't, like, you no longer depend on me. I can't force you to stick around because you need me, which is what all these businesses do, all these trading services. They'll sell you just enough that you sort of are dependent on the person to continue to have that success. And so by us doing the master classes and really just urging everyone to be self-sufficient and to do the backtesting work necessary, and then to use these calls as a demonstration of the concepts and as a simulation where you can simulate these things with other people, the whole point of that is to get you to see it for yourself so that you'll never need us, right? If you're asking why that's a bad business decision, if I teach you how to trade and you don't need me, you leave. Well, some people leave. And if I don't teach you how to trade and you're not making money, then you leave. You guys get what I'm saying? And so we've never done this as a business decision. It's always been, we might not be around. That we lost our Instagram, just took it away. We might be so preoccupied with the summit as we are now that we're not really as constantly there to help you with every micro decision. And so to hear that made me super happy. Real Biggie Smalls. And I applaud you for stepping up to the plate and not using the absence as an excuse to be like, shit, so let me slow down or whatever, but instead stepping up to the plate and the responsibility. And now you're better for it. So congratulations, man. Roy, what do you think about oil shorts if Trump is the president again? That's, dude, great question. Oil is going to be one of my bigger focuses in the Trump presidency than it is now. The biggest oil sort of shock that we saw in this election was Biden depleting the strategic reserves and sort of hurting our relationship with some of our biggest trading partners in oil, the Saudi Arabia. So this was the COVID crash right here. Okay, this is when the oil futures went negative, but oil basically hit zero. All right. Since that oil shock, the highest that we went to was 128. This is when inflation was at 9.1%, which is a lie. That's not the number that existed. That was a lie. But that was the time where Jerome Powell started quantitative tightening. This is what they call Bidenomics, by the way, is that when inflation was at 5% and 6%, the $2 trillion stimulus package that was sent out, it was called, not Build Back Better, dude. What was it called? The Inflation Reduction Act, which should have just been called the Inflation Not Reduction Act, because it did the opposite. That's what happened here. Now, this entire kind of dip was from Biden kind of depleting strategic reserves. And then this is from some strategic partnerships we did with Venezuela and some other oil-producing countries. And and some of those OPEC, I want to say sanctions, but we did put some pressure on some of the OPEC plus countries to reduce production so that, prices kind of stable out a little bit, reduce production, and then kind of increase the amount of available supply on the global market. So we were trying to hurt Saudi Arabia by getting them to reduce their production, but also keep the same amount of exports to the U.S. the same. So we can bring our prices down. The dumbest shit ever. Here's the two things about oil and Trump. Number one, fracking. I'll give you guys a fun stat. World War I, 70% or 80% of the oil barrels that were being used for the ships, for factories all over, the Allied powers at the time, what we consider now like sort of that Europe region, the U.S. And its allies, was all coming from the U.S. The U.S. was an oil giant. This is how Carnegie built his wealth. All right, so there was the steel industry, and then there was the oil industry. The oil industry basically helped bring on the steel revolution. The steel revolution then led to trains, which ended up being able to push oil around even more. And so oil was a massive, massive export of the U.S. We've lost that completely for environmental reasons. We've allowed other countries to basically use their oil to build their wealth. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, the Arab nations, Venezuela, Iran, Russia. We've allowed them to use their oil sort of production to build their wealth. But America has been stifling, slowly but surely, the oil production here in America. And so I think what Trump wants to do is open up, when he says drill, baby, drill. I know it sounds very simplistic, et cetera, but bring oil production back to the United States makes us less dependent on adversarial, very sketchy nations like Iran, like Venezuela, like Russia. When Ukraine and Russia war started, Germany was still paying, well, all of Europe was paying Russia billions of dollars for oil through the Nord Stream pipeline because they needed them. You cannot depend on hostile adversaries for your basic and most fundamental energy source. Food, water, energy, people. First steps to a functional society. So I think that's what's happened. Is like we basically cut our balls off. We gave some to China. Here, take all of our car manufacturing, take all of our consumer manufacturing, take all of our jobs and production. Here you go. To the oil producing nations, here Saudi Arabia and the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Iran, Russia, Canada, Venezuela. Here you go. Take it all. We're just going to enforce the oil trade with our military. We don't actually need to drill the oil. If you just don't play ball and you guys don't sell it in US dollars, we'll just come grab it from you. Stupid idea again. So I think Trump is going to lower the price of gas in two ways. Number one, being making friends with Saudi Arabia again, opening those channels so that we can get the cheapest gas possible, because Saudi Arabia is the lowest cost producer of oil in the world, but also bringing back American oil production to reduce that cost dramatically. Now, why is it dropping? We're in the middle of an election cycle. They can continue, the current administration can continue to play strategic games to bring down the price of gas in the short term. Okay. And then once the elections happen, I think maybe we see a rebound. And then once Trump really starts to announce his policies for sure, and he really starts to make those meetings happen with the big manufacturers and the big producers here in America, that's when we will start to see that real decline. So summarize, short-term bearish. It's an election season, bro. They're trying to fudge the numbers. They want to lower the price of the gas stations so that they look better. So we're going to see short-term bearish, medium-term bullish, and then long-term bearish if Trump actually follows through with all the plans he had for oil production. Make sense? All right, y'all. I got to hop off. I'm pretty late for the meeting. Roy, will you be live streaming during the debate? Yes, I will. Roy, what do you think about oil? Okay, I heard we're going to start mining lithium. Well, lithium is predominantly in two countries, and they're both in the South America, Mozambique and Zimbabwe. And China has been playing a very strategic game. While America's been doing this trans bullshit and abortions and fucking letting in 20 million people and literally just letting a fucking somebody's gumata be a fucking president, just somebody's mistress be a fucking presidential elect. While we're doing this dumbass shit, China has been strategically buying up mineral deposits, mineral mines, key shipping ports all over the world, offering $4 to $5 billion credit lines to Senegalese ports, buying the entire port for strategic access to block all other nations from having access to it, and owning certain lines. And then it's all been for those minerals of the future. Cobalt, lithium are the foundations for the battery revolution. You can't have renewable power and electric cars without enough batteries to go around. You can't have chips manufacturing, which is like the biggest sort of commodity that everyone's fighting for in a hardware sense, without lithium and cobalt, right? So those two South African countries they're going to get very rich in the short term. At least maybe some oligarchs will, and then the country is going to get depleted of its mineral resources. But it's not going to be the West. While we're sitting here arguing about colonialism, China is eating the world alive. And when those countries are under the Chinese boot, maybe all these fucking retards will go out there and talk about colonialism and how colonizing is horrible and all this shit, while letting China basically eat the world. And how are they letting China eat the world? Because they keep electing fucking retards instead of having somebody that is competent enough in a global macro trade and global macro strategy between killers. All right. So long story short, that's my take. If Kamala wins, we're literally cooked in every sense. Because if you guys think the Chinese are even taking a second to debate some dumb shit, to even listen to people with no credibility give an opinion, they're not. Everybody talks based on their credibility, and that's how shit gets done. So they are working 24/7, and we got a long fucking road ahead, people. I'm gonna tell you guys that much. They own the lithium trade. But Elon's doing some good work, man. Elon's doing some good work. And I think that he obviously, like, retards online are going to call him, oh, he's trying to buy all the resources. He's trying to be the next Bill Gates. Da, da, da. It's like, okay, he makes EVs. He's either going to have to be dependent on the Chinese sort of, what is it called? Like, he's got to go drink from the titty every time he wants to talk manufacturing deals, or he can put in U.S. interest kind of in the mix and start to do bids on some of these mines and start to really create supply chain lines. So I really hope that we do that, so that we don't have to go to war to go take the lithium from these countries. I'm not talking about the African country. I'm talking about the countries that are raiding these mines. We're just going to go and take it from those, whoever the people who are benefiting from this are, and we probably just shouldn't do that, right? So hopefully we make some good enough deals on the global stage to avoid those conflicts. Anyways, alerts are set. I had the NASDAQ trade up on the chart for about an hour while I was yapping. So hopefully you guys took some good notes. And yeah, we're about to hit that sell zone here. I might scalp this, just letting you guys know, might scalp it down, but don't hold me on that. Okay. Happy, safe trading, everybody. Take it easy.